television, this day and age, to read any good news on the newspaper page. Another edition of the grand design.
Ladies and gentlemen, WWE 2K16. Long gone are the days of intros filled with gameplay or even montages of WWE footage set to music. These days we go straight to the main menu, which is quite neat and organized. Plus, who doesn't like this guy? This game is pretty well known for its wrestler selection. With over 120 past and present superstars and divas to choose from, there's definitely somebody here for everybody. And any game that includes my man Scott Hall is automatically a win. Okay, maybe not any game. Of course people are going to complain that so-and-so didn't make the game, but thanks to some pretty incredible creation modes, you can make just about anybody. Move right along to the arena selection, and if you're anything like me, you'll be quite impressed. The 90s, 2000s, and present are all represented here with numerous arenas from WCW, one ECW arena, and quite the collection of old WWF and WWE arenas. If I could change only one thing, I would have absolutely loved to have a WCW Nitro arena. I feel a little spoiled after it was included a few years back, and now I just kind of expect it every year. The entrances here are really nothing short of fantastic looking. The lighting and camera angles play some pretty big roles here to give that WWE presentation. The move animations are drawn out and don't feel rushed like some games of the past. I really like how the entrances flow into each other without stopping and going to a loading screen, despite some awkward transitions here and there. I also like how you can attack your opponent while he makes his way to the ring, something I thought was awesome in WWF Raw. I'm a little disappointed that we still have some problems with certain wrestlers' Titantron videos. The aspect ratios are sometimes off, which leads to black bars on both sides of the screen. Throughout the years, we've seen many subtle changes to this game engine. It seems every year they're either adding this or removing that, but overall, if you've played any other game in the series from, say, maybe the last 8 years or so, you'll definitely be able to pick up the basics right away. I do have to say there are some problems here, but there are also a lot of things that really impress me. Subtle things like how the wrestlers will sometimes use the ropes to get up, or how bigger wrestlers will climb up to the first turnbuckle instead of the top. They've done a lot to make this game feel like a WWE broadcast. With that being said, there are a few things that I'm not a huge fan of, and it's probably because I'm an old school gamer and sometimes I feel simple is better. The submission system is a little aggravating for me. Your objective is to use the analog stick to move your color away from your opponents if you're on the receiving end of the submission hold, or move it over your opponents if you're the one applying the hold. I'm really just terrible at this, and it's caused me to suddenly lose matches that I was dominating. I'd rather have some kind of system that requires button mashing or something to keep from submitting. It just seems like it makes more sense to me, but again, if I were actually good at this feature, I probably wouldn't hate it so much. Another big change is the reversal system. You're now given a certain number of reversals when you start a match, meaning you can no longer dish them out left and right. You have to be strategic with them. You can earn more of these mid-match, but regardless, it still slows down the pace of the game and really makes you rethink some of your strategies. The stamina system also returns here, and I've never been a fan of this in wrestling games. It does help to add to the realism, but I really like a faster paced game, and this tends to slow things down. The move animations have also slowed down a bit over the years. For a while in the series, certain moves had quicker, more arcade-like animations, but here the moves are really smooth and simulate a more realistic physics system. But this game is not without its bugs. Hit detection can become a problem at times, and every so often, strange things will occur, like a wrestler going from a laying position to a standing position without moving a single limb. Another thing I found to be difficult was the automatic targeting system. It's completely broken if you ask me. Overall, I really quite enjoy the gameplay here, even though certain aspects can be frustrating and make the game a little harder at times. Graphically, this game's a little bit weird. It can look great, and sometimes it can look ugly. It really all just depends. The arenas and crowd, they all look really good for the most part, except for the fact that when you're fighting on the stage, they're still looking at the ring. But the biggest inconsistency comes with the wrestlers themselves. Some of these stars look incredible, like Triple H, while others, including Brock Lesnar, just look off. And it's not like they're way off, but there's maybe one aspect of their face or head or hair that just throws everything else off. And then there's certain legends like Lex Luger and Macho Man who just look flat out bad. But at least they have an excuse with them and other legends, as they weren't able to be face scanned. Even with some shortcomings here and there, I still think this game looks pretty impressive. By now, we've come to expect many different match types in a wrestling game. It's really become a necessity. Just about everything you could want is here, though I am disappointed that there's no type of backstage match. Look, I know the days of backstage fighting are pretty much gone in the WWE, but if you're going to include wrestlers in arenas from the Attitude Era, why not have a backstage brawl to go with it? There's still the hardcore match, I mean Extreme Rules, and it actually feels quite satisfying here. You do a lot of cool things like double stack tables or hit moves that land on top of ladders or even set tables on fire. There's really a lot to keep the replay value up. Same goes with the other special match types such as Hell in a Cell, which is always a favorite of mine. Not only can you break the cell, which we've come to expect by now, but you can also perform moves through the sides of the cell, as well as finishers on top of the cell that send your opponent crashing down through the table below. Another cool thing that we've seen in recent WWE games are the Omg Moments. Here you can perform special moves that go above and beyond your standard wrestling move. Maneuvers like the double attitude adjustment or the spear that sends your opponent through the barrier, or perform a superplex that completely destroys the ring. These are extremely fun to pull off. The Creation Studio is without a doubt where I spend the majority of my time. There's easily hundreds of hours of playtime here for somebody like me. If I can sum up the Create a Superstar in one word, it would probably be wow. Now, before we even go into creating a superstar from scratch, I just want to point out that you can edit current wrestlers' attires. We first saw this in the series as Superstar Threads, but whereas that really only allowed us to alter colors of an attire, this actually lets you change any clothing option you'd like. You can even add things like piercings, hats, and sunglasses to a superstar. This is something we've experienced before in games like No Mercy, and I've missed it ever since. If you want to create your own superstar from scratch, you can start with either a generic face that you can modify to your liking, or you can use the game's face paste feature, in which you take a picture of yourself or somebody else and place it over the superstar's existing face. There's also quite a lot of freedom when adjusting a superstar's features. You can morph and tweak just about every single point of a superstar's head and face, giving you the ability to create just about anybody you'd like. We've also got quite a nice selection of hair and facial hair options this year, something that's either been lacking in the past or just been recycled for many years with little to no changes. There are many clothing options here, including gear specific to the WWE superstars featured in the game. Honestly, there's plenty here for those of us that use this mode religiously. Once you've got your appearance down, you can set up your wrestler's entrance. I usually use the advanced mode as it gives you more control over specific details. You can select from different Tron videos, music, movements, lighting, and pyro. One really big disappointment is the lack of custom music option. I know it's not 2K's fault as it has to do with piracy issues, but at least give us a boatload of generic music to choose from. I mean, there are a few songs mixed in here that are original, but they've been recycled for a few years and they don't offer that much variety. At least give us some of the songs that play during the main menu. I mean, I'd love to have my superstar make his way to the ring to some Skid Row. The Create an Arena mode is a great way to try to duplicate real-life arenas that aren't in the game, or you can build your own fantasy arenas consisting of the most obnoxious patterns you can dream up. There are really a lot of tools at your fingertips here. You can select from different Titantrons, Minitrons, walls, stages, barriers. I mean, it's pretty much anything goes. You can import logos that can be used around the arena or select from a large selection of pre-made logos. Once you're done with your arena, head over to create a show to bring your arena to life. This is where you'll choose things like transition movies, matchup screens, and nameplates. You can select from options provided for the arenas already featured in the game or select from custom options provided specifically for this mode. If you want to create a championship, you can do that as well. You can start from scratch if you'd like, choosing options like the base, plates, logos, and belt styles, or you can use real-life belts from the past and present as a starting point. Here you'll be able to select from not only WWE titles, but championships from WCW and ECW as well. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I jump into this mode just to get an up-close detailed look at some of these belts. If you lack the creativity that some have, or just don't have 4 hours to perfectly recreate your favorite wrestler that may have not been included in the game, you can head over to Community Creations. Here you can download anything from superstars to arenas to logos. My only complaint here is that sometimes the load times are ridiculously long. Noticeably absent here is the Create a Story mode, which had become extremely popular throughout the last few years. Also gone is the Create a Finisher mode. Hopefully we can see these modes return again one day. This year's Showcase mode focuses on the career of Steve Austin. Here you'll follow Stone Cold through the years as he raises hell in the WWE. Along the way, you'll relive famous matches and moments, including the night Austin 316 was born, to his epic feuds with the likes of Mr. McMahon and The Rock. One important thing to note is the inclusion of Jim Ross on commentary in this mode. Easily one of the best ever to sit at that table and call a match, and I'm glad they decided to include him here. Along with Austin's WWE run, there are some bonus matches here that showcase his time in WCW and ECW as well. There are also some other showcase matches that are featured as downloadable content, which includes one of my favorite matches of all time, the Outsiders vs. Harlem Heat at Halloween Havoc 96. The career mode is back, and once again you take to the WWE Training Center with a created superstar to learn how to become a WWE wrestler. You'll start off wrestling on the NXT roster trying to make a name for yourself while earning skill points along the way that you can use to increase your wrestler's attributes, which will be vital in becoming a better wrestler. You can also spend your income on skills that will help aid you along the way. You'll have the ability to create rivalries with other wrestlers, which can lead to run-ins and alliances. Eventually, you'll work your way up to the main roster, where you'll end up on the Authority's radar. How you choose to interact with them will affect how your career plays out, and that's entirely up to you. Hell, you don't even have to win the WWE title if you don't want to. Your ultimate goal here is to make it to the WWE Hall of Fame. How you do that is up to you. Despite some problems and shortcomings, this really is one hell of a game, especially compared to that nonsense I played last year. Honestly, if it wasn't for you fans, I probably still wouldn't have played this game, so I want to thank you. I also want to thank those of you that keep watching and keep commenting and keep liking my videos. It really keeps me motivated to keep going. So again, thank you, and we made it to 100.
The following six-man contest is a tag team match, and it is set for one fall. On the way to the ring, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the tough guys.
This place is coming alive now.
I don't think there's 6 competitors I'd rather see in one match than these 6. This is going to be great, Michael.